Hello again and welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. Paul Schrimpf with Sfiligoj again.
Yeah, we're just in the office a lot here in the month of November, so folks will be seeing lots of us.
It's not like it's everybody else that we're talking to is basically, it seems like they're all over the place right now.
Well, there's a lot going on, yeah.
Trying to get a lot of stuff in before Thanksgiving. We're kind of doing the same thing, getting prepared for the year ahead, because we know that once January comes, it's going to hit the fan, and we'll be traveling all over the place and covering all sorts of things. So
yeah, I know you'll be at Vision, I'll be at the Illinois Fertilizer meeting, probably Wisconsin's Agribusiness Classic. So yes, come January we'll be very busy indeed. Absolutely.
One thing I didn't get to go to this year was Agritechnica in Germany, which is it's always every
other year, right?
A terrific, yeah, it's a technology and machinery show, largely focused on Europe, but it's also worldwide, and it kind of has some of the 18 buildings across in Germany, and you basically there's a building for different theme buildings for different groups and different all kinds of things going on all over the place. Anyway, Deere made quite a splash this year. They won a number of awards for some of their equipment. They also, I guess the big thing was, the one that made the biggest splash, of course, was the drone. Of course, the one news item I saw called it a crop dusting drone. And I'm like, how far do you have to go back into history to call something a crop dusting drone? I mean, let's try to get into the modern vernacular place. Do we really just default to crop duster?
People might be fans of North by Northwest, the movie, and they refer to them as crop dusters in that Alfred Hitchcock classic. So maybe, Paul, there's a long tail from that movie.
I suppose we're just a little more precise than that today. Just tad,
True.
So they have this. VOLOCOPTER is the company in Germany that they're working with, and it's basically a high payload drone that can spray, apply, it can pick up and move equipment of a certain payload. I don't know when this thing would actually come out, but I guess with all the application that's happening around the world and more interest in application, you buy drone here in the States, that Deere's going to put its hat in the ring and put something out there and see how people react to it.
Wow.
It's fascinating, and we'll put a couple of pictures, I think, on this just to show what it's all about. But it's interesting technology, and we'll see what happens here in the States.
All right, we'll be watching for that then coming in 2020, perhaps.
Maybe. So what you got?
What do I have? Well, actually, Paul, we have a little bit of a, I guess you call it, disagreement. We found out on November 12th that our friends at Syngenta have filed a lawsuit against our friends at Atticus, basically saying that Atticus is infringing on the azostrobin patent, fungicide patent.
You're trying to say is oxystrobin?
Oxystrobin, thank you, Paul. Yes, I'm mispronouncing it. Syngenta, actually, in the lawsuit, this was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of North Carolina. Syngenta said they've invested significant resources in researching, developing, and commercializing product, and that Atticus infringes on this work. The lawsuit seeks to permanently stop Atticus's infringement on Syngenta's intellectual property rights, to recover damages, and to obtain other equitable and monetary relief. So at this point, Paul, there's nothing in the release that says anything about a trial date, so I imagine we may be hearing about this between now and the end of the year, but expect more coming up here in 2020 regarding this lawsuit.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff ends up getting settled. It's one of those, you shoot a shot across the bow, followed by mad negotiation, followed by we came to an agreement, but
correct.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yes, we will wait and see. And one other thing to mention, of course, I know we've been following the whole debate between the U.S. and China regarding trade. It sounded like we were maybe close to a deal, maybe not close to a deal. No one's quite sure based on everything I've been reading in the last few days in the press. But one thing for sure is our friends at Rabobank had come out with a report basically saying that the African Swine Fever epidemic in China was more severe than we'd heard. The herds have been reduced from about 400 million to less than 200 million in China. And the report actually says that it's probably going to be 2025 before these herds get back up to full strength. And that in the meantime, the buying and consumption habits in China are going to be different. There'll be more beef and chicken consumed, which probably means that for the soybean growers in the U.S., that we're hoping that a deal between the U.S. and China means more sales. That may not come to pass because the herds of pigs that have been consuming the soybean from the U.S. Don't exist anymore.
Yeah, well, I guess our friend John Reefstack at the PACE meeting was absolutely correct. That was a major factor, possibly a major factor in the trade, in that it was far worse than people were saying. So, yeah, I mean, in one sense, I guess in the one sense, it's you know, maybe that takes the pressure off of China needing to make a deal immediately, just because they're not needing the soybean consumption. They're just not going to need it.
Yeah. Although you would imagine if they're starting to do more cattle and chicken, that corn as feed might become more in demand in China. So perhaps corn growing in the U.S. will start to see some shift to China if we get an agreement.
You bet. Okay. Well, that's what you got?
That's what I got.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for this edition of CropLife Retail Week, and we'll see you next week.
If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comments section below.
Your feedback is important to us. We'll try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.